I think if you think that Trump is the one that are doing it, that Trump is the one that are deciding things. Once again, that Obama is the one deciding things, or George Bush Sr. I mean, they're bad boys, all three of them, if you ask me. But they have lords that are controlling them, and so they're puppets, powerful puppets, but still puppets that are being controlled by other forces. And this is the whole thing that over all of these years that I keep bumping into, is that there's this global, an attempt of a global overtake, turning this world into what is called a new world order through ways of Agenda 21, which when you look into that, is like absolute madness on steroids. I mean, it is unbelievable that the world is not standing on all their toes, just screaming out from the rooftops like, fuck this, what is going on? But there are other names also, the Fourth Industrial Revolution under the World Economic Forum. All of them is the same. It's the same bullshit, different name. And where there's a small group of individuals, whatever they are, if you ask me, I don't know. I mean, they look human, but they don't act human, and that are trying to take over. And so it's like, I would say that the ultimate commander of these forces is somebody that has a very red complexion and a couple of horns and eat with a big fork. It's like that mindset. It's a very, very satanic mindset. So please be aware, when these people talk about God, they're talking about God, where we think that they're talking about God. We think about the bearded dude up in the sky that wants good and love and compassion. They say God using the same name, but they're talking about the exact opposite. So what they're doing is
Everything's inverted. Yeah.
inverted. So if you look around in the world and you think, this is completely mad, not at all. It's just inverted. So so see it as like a negative in the old days of a photo negative where black is white and white is black. That's the world of the CIA, all of these agencies. What you think is one thing, but it's a completely different one behind the scenes. Because the reason why it's important is because this is the ultimate shut you up factor. If they cannot hit you with anything else, they use that one. And I even have an interview from Democracy Now! When they're interviewing a former, I think she was a foreign minister of Israel. And she said, well, anyway, anytime we have a real problem, we just hit them with the anti-Semite thing, the whole Holocaust thing, and that will shut them down. I remember there was one interview with this Dutch engineer who later died mysteriously. He was being interviewed not long after 9/11 about this whole thing about how can these buildings just be dustified? I mean, they went up in dust. How is that
Hmm.
possible? You know? And so he said, from an engineering point of view, it's not. And so the one interviewing him said, you're such an anti-Semite. You can't. And he said, I'm talking about structure and steel. No, no, this is, and they were just going for with that one. No logic whatsoever, just to shut. He wasn't allowed to say one more word. It was just, there were two people in the studio just bombarding him, shutting him up, and thank you. And not long after he died. Yeah.
They've
And the thing is, unfortunately, it seemed like some of it is true, but very often also when you start tracking it back, you'll see that it originates from the vaccines. These young deaths, oh, he died at 36, this super running star, suddenly heart, boom, turbo cancer, all of these. So yeah, so where did it start? Go back to the root of the cause. And you will see that a lot of it came from the latest epidemic of the vaccines. You will see that the whole cancer epidemic is based to a large extent on the so-called SV40 virus that was distributed through the polio vaccine in the late 50s and early 60s in the West, which it's divide and conquer. They make it like that so to get the frustration building up. and the racism building up and the whole, so that it's a powder keg. The more, like this that's going on, the better for them. And then they have an alleged mass shooting here and alleged mass shooting there, boof, 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 just there to get out the Muslims. I knew that, we should have like this, and it's built up for creating conflicts. It's not there to create harmony because, of course, both your wife and her parents should be living the best life. According to the rules that was said, this is you do to accomplish this, but it's that you do all of that, and then they just pull the curtain or the rug underneath. And then, anyway, when you look at how it's done in all of these countries in the Western world, by design, it's Agenda 21, open the borders, open the borders, open the borders, let people in from other countries, then they get everything. Give them a new car, give them a new house, give them all of these benefits. But the same person that belongs to that nation, wherever that is sitting in his or her small little apartment, hardly having food on the table, looking out the window. What the hell? Look at them. Look at them. I'm paying my tax. I'm doing all of that. And they just coming here. They're getting everything. Yeah. So who's giving it to them? Is it their fault or is it somebody's doing it on purpose to get these emotions going? That's the one, if you ask me, because it's in that environment when it's like this, you can get away with all of these things. And then for your security, we need to have a more militarized police. I mean, look at the police. It's not that many years ago, like 63 or whatever. The police was driving around in black and white cars. Now it's like RoboCop invasion, like SWAT teams. Like, what the hell is going on? I'm just having vitamins in my backyard. Yes. So now we are in a situation where it's coming to a crescendo where this could very well be it, when suddenly the savior of the world is stepping forward. And it is for us to say, yay, or take a step back and say, hello, wait a second, before I'm buying into this one, let me just take a step back, check out some stuff, get a breather, hug a cat, and then look at it again. Because from fear, it's so easy to go into euphoria when the fear is no longer there. But please be aware that there is a chance that you could be manipulated and being pushed into a global scene where suddenly, yeah, in that case, I would say not good news at all.
Beyond the forbidden.
Okay, so I sort of got my wake-up call or whatever you want to call it in 1980. So I'd spent many years being completely confused, but looking into the source of the confusion because I had like an investigative mind and a curious mind, and I just felt like something is so not right with so many things. Then I worked as a journalist for some years, and I just felt more and more we're being screwed around here, like right, left, and center. I don't get it. I mean, I was so naive. I was so believing what I had been told. And then I started diving into JFK, Martin Luther King, Robert Kennedy. I mean, like a super geek. I got completely um, I don't know what to say, but mesmerized about with these labyrinth and mysteries, and so I was. When you look back, I was very early compared to most because this was way before the internet and way before anyone else that I knew of. I mean, I was born in Denmark but grew up in Sweden. No one was interested. I had one friend I could sort of talk to. Otherwise than that, it was just like weird looks and avoiding me and so on. But then I spent 12 years really digging into the alleged murder of the Swedish Prime Minister Olof Palme as well. And I moved there, so I was on location, and I got very, very deep in that. And I tell you, when you go deep and you do it sort of where you are, can get very scary because these dark forces that are behind these operations, they do not like exposure. Truth is the only thing they fear. And so they deal with problems in a very brutal way, many ways. And so I really started feeling that. I had two friends that died, and I had a visit as well, freaked me out. And it was just like nobody was listening in Sweden. I was going like, hello, 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 and nobody was interested. And I even went to national, I was doing music for Swedish TV, Channel 4, and I even went to their like investigative programs talking to them, and they were like completely shutting me down in a way that was very weird, to say the least. It was not a natural way that a journalist would say, okay, listen, tell me, and I will listen. And no, I think that is absolute bullshit because it doesn't match anything of the. But that was not what I experienced. I experienced like this transparent wall, like a glass wall that was just like, this is as far as you get. And anyway, so when my friends died, because we were getting very close to the inner core of the truth around that alleged assassination, it really shook me. So my girlfriend and I, my new girlfriend at the time, mother of two, uh, we sat down one day and I said, listen, I need to get out. I really am not feeling good being here. It's never been my country, but least of all right now. So we sat down with a map. She never really fitted in either. She's very different from a normal Swede. And so we sat down with a map and I said, where do you want to go? And where would you like to live? And she said, I want a beautiful language. I want not that far from home so that family can come and visit us. I want sun and I want the sea and I want mountains. So we were like, okay, what are we going to do? You want the sea, I want mountains. Well, I've seen places where they're both mountains and seas meeting. So we were going around and we were looking, and then boom, our finger came to the island of Mallorca in Spain, which I thought was this touristic, like, yeah, like just tourist, that type of
Hmm.
thing. But then suddenly life started serving us all of these images of people were talking about Mallorca, and suddenly we started seeing, whoa, this is an incredible, beautiful little island with mountains and the sea, and not far from where we are, like 3 4 hour flight, and a beautiful language. So we decided there and then and shook hands on it. Boom, let's move. And about 2.5 months later, 3 months later, we had been down there. We found a little house out in the middle of nowhere. Like it was just a tiny little shack, but there was a lemon tree and views of the mountains. It was just stunning. So we signed a contract in Spanish that we didn't understood with the landlord from hell, it turned out.
Okay.
Got the keys, got 3 lemons, went back home, packed the car with, including her 2 kids and me. I had kids phobia, never been in a family. I didn't have such a good childhood, so I swore I'm never going to do that to anyone else. So I never, ever.
Can
You
you hear
still
me?
there?
Yep.
Yeah, I can.
So everybody that I'll that's why I love podcasts because of things like that. So if you are familiar with Ale, how do you like? I've heard people say your name, Ole or Ale, Ale,
Yeah, the whatever.
but he is one of the most attacked and censored people. This kind of shit will happen a lot. Like I said, I've been following you for a very long
It's
time, but I probably have seen more of what just happened there glitching out with you. It's happened with me too, but I've seen a lot of that happen with you, like on other podcasts and stuff, probably more than anybody else.
I tell you, Michael, it's like what can I say? It's happened not 10, not 20. It's like if not hundreds, then maybe even thousands of times. But normally it's not like when we talk like this. It's when I start getting to the point of certain things, then choof, or or the sound gets really like robotic, so it's really hard to hear what's being said, and stuff like that. So it is what it is. I mean, I checked my name on Google a few years ago. There was 1.8 million hits. Not that, but I've been really doing my best to spread whatever I found, and as far as I know, being truth. So I checked mine at 1.8 million. Then a year ago, I checked again and it was 19,400.
Oh wow.
So from 1.8 million down to 19,400, that's quite a lot. And I mean, I mean, Google added all of these extra hits, like if you were looking for Farmer Brown and veggie garden, whatever, cultivations like that, you would get a similar type of hit. But here, all of my referrals to interviews just disappeared, but there were some referrals to my books and music. Otherwise than that, podcasts like governmental podcasts, it's still if you put lightonconspiracies.com, no, if you just put light on conspiracies, as far as I know, it says governmental podcast has never, I don't even have a podcast. If you go to dammegard.com, it's like a law firm in Las Vegas, in El Paso, Texas. It's I have on my website light on conspiracies plural.com because there's many going on. I have one where it says testimonials and also censorship. And you can just see, I mean, I've been hammered right, left, and center. And the thing is, I'm a little confused here because I've been given a peace award. I am now facing up to 18 years in prison in Sweden if I return. And I'm super censored. Some people say more than anyone. So I'm just asking, what is it with me or this individual? It's not me as a person because I've never said a hateful word as far as I know. I don't step on ants. I don't kick dogs. Like I'm not a racist. What is going on? I would say maybe it is because I've been devoting myself to try what I consider the truth and have been, I think, very successful in exposing a lot of it because this is where it's like when you're over target, that's when the flag starts. And I've been hit by more or less everything, including I've been shot, I've been almost hit by cars, I've been forced off the road, I've been
I know
poisoned all.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I know when you start talking about there are many factions in the world, you know, you've talked about it for years, decades, but I've only been following you for at least decade and a half or close to a decade and a half. Um, Whenever you start talking about one faction like the Zionist elites, the Mossad, the Israeli elites, and all that. Whenever you start trying to expose them, that's when a lot of things start happening. It's like it's automatically like a red flag on you, no matter where you go. Even if you talk about unicorns and rainbows, it's like boom, that's it. You talked about it one time. Now you got a flag on you. And what? I guess let's move to there. I really I wouldn't plan on going there just yet. What the hell is going over there, man? Like I'm
It's
tired. I'm tired of this. The brainwash because I live in the Bible Belt here. I'm in Louisiana, and people are still pro-Israel. Like, man, get your head out your ass. Like they are the top. They are probably close, if not the tip of the spear or the top of the pyramid.
many, many years ago, growing up in Scandinavia, we were being told this wonderful thing about Israel, how it was so amazing that this tiny little country that was surrounded by enemies were managing to make like an oasis out of the desert, and they were fighting for. And I was completely buying into it, and I was going to a kibbutz. So I was thinking about going to a kibbutz and stuff. And then I went to Israel in the 80s, and I tell you, I've never been so shocked in my life when I saw the IDF, the Israeli soldiers, the way they were treating people was like, what the hell is going on? The way that the Palestinians were treated like second class citizen, the pay, everything. I mean, we're talking, if you ask me, full on apartheid that we've been told, yeah, South Africa, that's it. But I saw it in Israel. And I mean, I spoke to both sides, but it was like I found it like there was this incredible propaganda machine to the population telling them, demonizing the Palestinian. But when I met the Palestinians, I mean, I went to the West Bank, I went to Gaza, I went to the Golan Heights, I went to the Dead Sea area. I just met really beautiful people, most of them quite traumatized because they had been like pushed out. And with many of them having most of their family living in South Lebanon in refugee camps, like 50, 60 years in refugee camps. And so I was like, what on earth is going on? Then I started looking into where did Israel come from? Because like when we grew up, it was called Palestine, in the old school books. And then Israel came after the Second World War. So whose idea was that? And when you start seeing with the Balfour Agreement and the Rothschilds in the background, and then bringing in Jews, I mean, Jews, to be a Jew, it's not a race, it's a faith, So it's like a group of people that have the same mindset, not the same background. This whole anti-Semite thing, I love it because it means absolute zero. When you look what a Semite is, has nothing to do with Israel. So this whole thing that we're being bombarded with and shut down with, it's absolute bullshit. So anyway, so the more I looked into it and I started seeing like many of the prime ministers of Israel who were full-blooded terrorists. I mean, we're talking like terror attacks, blowing innocent people up, blowing hotels up, and all kinds of stuff. Also, and then with the creation of Mossad, deeply in bed with the CIA, deeply, deeply in bed with, can I just repeat, deeply in bed with the CIA, it's almost like you cannot tell the difference when once you get up here, they're so connected and they're like this. And with Mossad, where the motto is war by deception, war by deception. What does that mean? It means fuck with your mind for you to believe in a certain direction. And they are good. They are really good at it. And so when you also look at how Palestine has just been squeezed and squeezed and made smaller, 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 smaller. Every single chance they've had, they've just pushed them out. Instead of, if we go back to the Holocaust, and this will, I tell you, I'm not loving to be a messenger of bad news,
It may
but
glitch out
please,
again. This video feed may glitch out again. So just hang tight if it does.
yeah,
Go
okay.
ahead.
So no, I've only since I've noticed that if you start speaking about these things, that is like committing suicide in public. It is the way to get shut down. So I've only done one interview ever about the alleged Holocaust. It's called Making Critical Thinking Illegal. Making critical thinking illegal. It was actually with Red Ice Radio. You can find it on my website, Light on Conspiracies, go.com. Go to most viewed videos, and it's there. It's like 2.5 hours. I just go from a logistic point of view. I take the official narrative, and just from a logistic point of view, does it match up? Does it match up? Does it match up? I tell you, and it's not because I think it's fun to say these things, but there's not a true word anywhere in the official narrative around the Holocaust, the alleged Holocaust. It's like nothing matches up, nothing. And after more and more of us have started exposing it, the official numbers have now gone like, whoa, way down. The official claim of gas chambers and all of these things are going way down. You go to Auschwitz, the signs where it said gas chamber, now it says shower rooms. They changed these things also. They changed out because once you start looking, and please, I'm not saying this just because I think it's fun. Please check out Making Critical Thinking Illegal. on my website, lightonconspiracies.com, and you can see for yourself. Is that 2.5 hours of bullshit, or is it 2.5 hours of like, what on earth? How could I even buy into it? How, when you go from the official narrative, like just the way that these gas chambers, now it turns out that the chimneys were never connected, and many of the chimneys were built after the end of the Second World War by the Russian army. So it seems like at the Jalta conference, Jalta, I don't know what you call it, where Stalin and Roosevelt and Churchill were gathering together saying, okay, how are we going to split up the world? How, after the end of the Second World, how are we going to divide this whole thing so that everybody gets their share? One of the ways we do it, because they wanted to go really brutal, was that they had to really demonize the whole thing around Nazi Germany. And this is where the Holocaust came in. The number 6 millions are from at least 1908, I think, that this number was circulating, the 6 million, 6 million, 6 million, 6 million. Okay, so this is what we've been told. 6 million Jews died in gas chambers. Okay, so from a logistic point of view, when you start checking out the numbers, it is just completely impossible. You cannot. The gas ovens could only take, like if we're looking at these crematories, it can only take one body at a time. To be able to get up to these numbers, you would have to pile them up like 10, 15 fold and get in. And just when modern day crematories, is that what you call it, crematories? Like
Yes. Yes.
the heat needed to burn a body is extreme. You need extreme heat because most of our bodies are made of fluid. It takes a lot, time-wise and heat-wise. And so if you start, even with modern super, super efficient crematory ovens, you won't even get a fraction of the bodies that they say were killed in the gas chambers and burned. What we're looking at are work camps.
1400 to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit.
It
1400
is
to
a
1800 degrees
it
Fahrenheit.
is a lot. But this is, please, instead of me sitting here and just scraping a little on the surface, sounding like I'm absolutely poof out of it, please check out Making Critical Thinking Illegal on lightonconspiracies.com. Do yourself a favor and listen through that. I was very scared when I did that one because I had no idea. And this was in 2010 or something like that. I mean, not a lot of people had stepped up, and the ones that did it, I saw what happened to them. So I was nervous. I was really nervous with that one. And but I stand by every word that is in that, and you can just see for yourself. Because the reason why it's important is because this is the ultimate shut you up factor. If they cannot hit you with anything else, they use that one. And I even have an interview from Democracy Now! When they're interviewing a former, I think she was a foreign minister of Israel, and she said, "Well, anyway, anytime we have a real problem, we just hit them with the anti-Semite thing, the whole Holocaust thing, and that will shut them down." I remember there was one interview with this Dutch engineer who later died mysteriously. He was being interviewed not long after 9/11 about this whole thing about how can these buildings just be dustified? I mean, they went up in dust. How is that possible? And so he said, from an engineering point of view, it's not. And so the one interviewing him said, "You're such an anti-Semite. You can't." And he said, "I'm talking about structure and steel." No, no, this is, and they were just going with that one. No logic whatsoever, just to shut. He wasn't allowed to say one more word. It was just, there were two people in the studio just bombarding him, shutting him up, and thank you. And not long after, he died.
They've learned those same tactics over the years,
Oh God, it's
with
so easy.
and it's crazy how advanced they were back then to even with the psychological mind control, conditioning, programming, all
Oof.
that. And now they use other tactics like you're racist or you're you're homophobic or whatever, you know. And but back to the Israel thing. So one thing, one thing that what made me know that Trump is he's captured under the whatever whoever runs Israel. I don't think it's Benjamin. I think he has shot callers above him, Benjamin Netanyahu, you know.
Mhm.
But so we know about the PNAC from 1999 or 2000 Project for New American Century, where they wanted to, where the neoconservatives wanted to go into the Middle East, take out Iran, Syria, Iraq, um, and go into there. But also within the PNAC document, it says we have to briefly since let me see where it says one of the more recent things. It says, quote, within the document, control the new international commons of space and cyberspace and pave the way for creation of a new military service, U.S. Space Forces. And so I was thinking, what did Trump do back in, what was it, 1819? He created the Space
Mhm.
Force. Right there, man. It's right there. So is he following that blueprint of the PNAC? Because it's right there. Of course, it mentions going and invading these countries, and but also talks about creating. We have to control space and create a space force. Literally, U.S. Space Forces, what it says, and he created what a space force. It's like, is he following that neoconservative blueprint? You know, what say you, Ole?
I say I'm not interested in politics. I'm tracking down super criminals. And I tell you, this individual with this weird hairdo, I mean, when you look at what's going on around him, and especially also when the way with the assassination attempt. There's another one for you. Please go to my website, lightonconspiracies.com. Not because I think it's fun, because I was more or less the only one, as far as I know, in the world pointing out that thing as an absolute staged psychological operation to lift him up and to be anointed as the new savior. I mean, Israel, Israel, Israel in the background. Maybe not the country, but the whole um, Jewish uh, Torah, the whole that whole thing. That's also with the whole thing. What happened with his ear and with all of it. If once again, I I normally don't talk just lightly about stuff. I keep quiet, and then once I'm ready, I deliver. And so about that assassination attempt, I have like a 2 hour recorded webinar with a PowerPoint where I just say, look here, look there, look
Mm-hmm.
here, look there. I'm not there to push anything down your throat. It's up to you to make up your own mind. If you are not blown away after that one, I'm like, please activate your brain because there was something completely different going on than we were told. And so I mean, I knew at that point for sure that Trump would be the next one because of that whole thing. Also, the Illuminati card games had were predicting this all the way back in 1996
Mm-hmm.
that this is when they brought up this whole event thing, and so what has happened afterwards? I mean, I think if you think that Trump is the one that are doing it, that Trump is the one that are deciding things. Once again, that Obama is the one deciding things, or George Bush Sr. I mean, they're bad boys, all three of them, if you ask me. But they have lords that are controlling them, and so they're puppets, powerful puppets, but still puppets that are being controlled by other forces. And this is the whole thing that over all of these years that I keep bumping into is that there's this global, an attempt of a global overtake. turning this world into what is called a new world order through ways of Agenda 21, which when you look into that, it's like absolute madness on steroids. In, I mean, it is unbelievable that the world is not standing on all their toes, just screaming out from the rooftops like, fuck this, what is going on? But there are other names also, the Fourth Industrial Revolution under the World Economic Forum. All of them, it's the same. It's the same bullshit, different name. And where there's a small group of individuals, whatever they are, if you ask me, I don't know. I mean, they look human, but they don't act human, and that are trying to take over. And so it's like I would say that the ultimate commander of these forces is somebody that has a very red complexion and a couple of horns and eat with a big fork. It's like that mindset. It's a very, very satanic mindset. So please be aware, when these people talk about God, they're talking about God, where we think that they're talking about God. We think about the bearded dude up in the sky that wants good and love and compassion. They say God using the same name, but they're talking about the exact opposite. So what they're doing is
Everything's inverted. Yeah.
inverted. So if you look around in the world and you think, this is completely mad, not at all. It's just inverted. So so see it as like a negative in the old days of a photo negative where black is white and white is black. That's the world of the CIA, all of these agencies. What you think is one thing, but it's a completely different one behind the scenes and inverted. Dick Casey, the director of the CIA, said in 1996, I think, that the day when the American population and the rest of the world, that everything they believe is based on lies, we have succeeded. And if you ask me, I'm at a point where I don't do any interviews anymore because I know for sure that I don't know. I don't know anymore because now with AI entered in on state where videos and audios. You can't trust anything anymore. And you have not been able to do that for a long time, but we have not been aware of it. At least I haven't been aware of the level of possibility to manipulate. So I'm at a point where I'm looking out the window. That's as far as I know reality is. If it comes on a screen in front of me, I have no idea. I know I'm being told stuff by someone in a digital realm that I don't know who is behind it. So it's like, people, we live in Bali now. We had to escape again. So we live in Bali in Indonesia. And so people sometimes call and say, are you okay? Are you okay? And we're like, yeah, what? There's a big earthquake. Really? Where? Right where you are. Okay, I didn't feel anything, but no, 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 right where you are, check it out. And I'm like, well, house is still there. I didn't feel anything. I was here all the time. Okay, now there's a big volcano exploding. Where? Right where you are. What? Yeah, everything is shut down. What? No, it's not. I mean, there's so much mayhem in the world where when you talk to people, if you really can't, it's always far over there. It's always somewhere far away from you, so you can't control it from wherever you are. So many times we're being told the world is hell. All of this is happening and mass murder and wars, like this. And then you go there and it's like, whoop, just another Tuesday. It's beautiful here. I don't know what
Even if
they're
it
up.
is true, even if it is true, they push all of this because if we're in that constant state of fear, we're more easily controlled. Like with these notifications I get these notifications because I don't really get on social media. I guess YouTube's about the only thing, and I get on X a little bit, but not really. Just maybe just that something if I to post something or whatever. So I get these notifications. This is just from today. All right, fear, 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 fear. All right, here we go. Person infected with brain-eating amoeba after, and these are all.
I ain't got that
Hold
one.
up.
I
These are
mean,
just notifications
I
that
love
pop up
it.
on my damn phone today,
Oh, I
and
love
I'm
it.
not going
I
to read
love
every
it.
one of them because I'll be
No,
here
please
literally.
go.
Okay, person
Entertain
infected
me.
with brain-eating amoeba after water skiing. Health officials say. Okay, deadly tropical storm Aaron takes sudden turn towards U.S. and could car racing veteran dead after mid race medical emergency. Here's I see death, cancer, death all the time, every day. 80s rock star dies at 70 following cancer battle. Um, Give me a second. All right, scrolling down a little bit. Oh, got the sniffles. Here's what to know about the summer colds and the COVID-19 variant. Um, Bodybuilding champion dies unexpectedly but peacefully, aged 37. New COVID variant spreading fast in the US. What to know? I can keep going. I can. It kind of pisses me off. There's nothing fucking good. You know what I mean? It kind
I
of
know what
pisses
you
me
mean.
off, man. You don't hear nothing good, and there's a lot of good in the world, but they don't want you to know that. You may get a breadcrumb every now and then just to kind of give you false hope, but they want to keep you in that mind control conditioning because that fear is the ultimate weapon, you know?
But then, yeah, this is an old Roman template. Management by fear, problem, reaction, solution, divide and conquer. There's not that many of them, but they're using it all the time. And then they use one lie and they build on another lie. And then they use that suddenly as a fact. So they put another lie on top of that. So it's based on facts, not. And it just builds. So we have these, just like you said, I love it, the brain eating amoeba. Okay, so if you have like a marketing agency and you're sitting down, okay, let's okay, we're running out of time here. People are not, they're not sensitive anymore. They're not free, so easy to control anymore because people are saying, I'm not taking more boosters. I've had it. I've had it. I'm gonna go out and live in the forest. Fuck it all. So how to get to them? You have to go extreme. So here we have brain eating amoeba. That is pretty severe. I mean, it's almost like, was it the Ebola? No, it wasn't the Ebola. It was yeah, was it Ebola that was the baby brain eating? I mean, if you
Just to cut you
go,
off just for a second, you have the floor. But a lot also, if I keep scrolling down, what I see almost at least once every couple of days is flesh eating bacteria. It's
yeah, there
bad
you
here
go.
in the south. Flesh eating bacteria. One person died of flesh eating. He scraped his knee on his boat trailer, and because it was in the water, now he has flesh eating bacteria, and he died. This was, I think, a notification I got yesterday. It's
But the thing
crazy.
is, yeah, and the thing is, unfortunately, it seems like some of it is true, but very often also when you start tracking it back, you'll see that it originates from the vaccines. These young deaths. Oh, he died at 36. This super the running star, suddenly heart, boom, turbo cancer, all of these. So yeah, so where did it start? Go back to the root of the cause, and you will see that a lot of it came from the latest epidemic of the vaccines. You will see that the whole cancer epidemic is based to a large extent on the so-called SV40 virus that was distributed through the polio vaccine in late 50s and early 60s, which was also deeply involved around the JFK assassination, where the CIA developed a bioweapon based on the SV40 that they were going to use against Castro. But it was in the polio vaccine that was, even though they knew that this is going to cause a massive wave of cancer in the future, they still went around and jabbed hundreds of millions or had these sugar cubes with these strips on. I had them. I have this crap floating around in my body now. So it's like when you speak to opticians, or people doing autopsy, when they do autopsy of cancer, they more or less always say that they find the SV40 virus if they know what to look for. It's small capsule of white fat, not fat but tissue, and the thing is it's not natural. Nothing. And what you told, I mean, it's almost like listening to Monty Python. I don't know if you had Monty Python in the US, but I mean,
Yeah.
Monty Python wouldn't work anymore because you've got it on your cell phone. They couldn't make it up. Okay, so make it worse than brain eating Eniba. Okay, where did he get it? When he was water skiing. Okay, so now they're gonna destroy the water anywhere where you can get a break, where you can get some breathing or have some fun. No, I don't think so. Christmas, let's just hit you with another terror attack or the 4th of July, anything when it's a holiday, boom, hit you again and again and again. And then, yeah, let's do some gene modified mosquitoes. We'll just release 12 million, 10 million every 12th day. I mean, my God, in Lahaina, in Maui, that's what's going on there. They were going to do it here to completely weaponize nature so that we would be forced back into the smart cities, which is part of the whole agenda.
You were
It,
talking about
this
you were talking about the vaccine. This is only just a 19-second clip, Ole. Here we go.
The suspect in a shooting near Atlanta's Emory University and the CDC believed the COVID vaccine made him suicidal. That's according to his father. The suspected gunman is 30-year-old Patrick Joseph White, who died after exchanging gunfire with police on Friday. Officer David Rose.
So he believed his father believed that the COVID vaccine made him suicidal, whatever.
Okay, so that's interesting because it came from the CDC. Okay, so the CDC, that's interesting because I mean they have all the facts. When was the CDC created? It was created in 1946 or 47, right after the Second World War, when Operation Paperclip was exporting super skilled Nazi experts in different areas.
Were they
In
part of the
bioweapon,
National Security Act of 47? Well, I know 46, 47, a lot of that makes you
a
wonder if
lot of
there's
it, a lot of these things took place in these years. A lot of the things that we are dealing with now. So the same, more or less at the same time that the OSS was turned into the CIA, with the help of people from the German intelligence, like Reinhard Gehlen, who was later the big brain behind the whole Gladio network, the NATO Gladio network that we are now. This is one of the major forces that are hitting us at the time. Gladio, if you don't know about that, please look into that. Anyway, so at the same time, when OSS was turned into the CIA, the CDC was created with the help, and NASA as well, this other interesting organization that keeps spending absolute fortunes on stuff that you never know for sure if it's true or not. Most of the time, not at all. But anyway, so the CDC was created by the same forces that created the CIA, with the same Operation Paperclip, with many of the same German scientists, bioweapon Nazis, if you believe, fascist, extreme right, who did not believe that a lot of people should be around. So CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control, I would say the last C stands for something else. Center for Disease Creation is the correct spelling or understanding of these words, because they are very often the owners of the patents, I kid you not, of the viruses that then hits the world. If there is a patent, you cannot have a patent on something nature has made. It is man-made patent. Okay. So the Zika virus, for instance, was patented in 1947. You could buy it online, and then anyway, and then it happened to the world. Oh, this virus here, the Ebola virus, the same thing. The COVID virus, let's not even get into that. We're talking about bioweapon warfare on the global population. It is very, very sad to say the least, and very scary. And when you look back to it, whenever area you look into, you will come back to the same power structure, a global power structure. There are not that many. You know, we're talking about a few thousand people in total, but who's behind them, controlling them, we're back to like way fewer, you know. But nowadays, we're not talking empires, we're not talking families anymore. We're talking companies, multinational companies. And behind the facade of these companies are where these structures are hiding, like BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard, these type of company. Oh my God. And BlackRock, that's an interesting name for you as well, because that black cube is just like all over the place. And we're back to the same mindset that we were talking about before. Look at so many of the people are involved in and around 9/11 and so many other things like the Patriot Act and all of these. They are double double citizenship. These people are American, Israeli, American, Israeli, American, Israeli, American, Israeli, American. It's like 99% of them. Is that just a coincidence? I mean, it's like, I tell you, when you look at the global power structure, and also in so many of these companies that really are doing a lot of change to the world, let's call it change to be nice, how many have this citizenship, the dual citizenship, or are connected to this tiny little country in Israel? So I'm asking, if that had been Danish citizens, I'm a Danish citizen, the whole world would talk about the Danish conspiracy to control the world. You can talk about Muslim terrorists, you can talk about all kinds of stuff. If you mention that, they chop your head off. Like Voltaire said many hundred years ago, he said, to find out who really controls you, just look at who you're not allowed to criticize. And there you go. I rest my case. I mean, that's it. Boom, right there. And so when you see, for instance, Benjamin Netanyahu, if you ask me, that's a monster in living form. I mean, like the atrocities that that individual are involved in and has been, the 7/7 bombings, the 9/11, all of these, you got Netanyahu in the background going, yahoo, yahoo, yahoo. Like he's all the time there, just as a player. I'm not saying that he is the head of it, but when he came to the US, I think that Obama got 15 standing ovations, if that was in the White House or in the wherever it was, at the most 15 standing. Netanyahu got 25. How many do you think the Swedish prime minister got? Like, fuck all. How many do you think the Norwegian prime minister, if he came there? Nothing. They wouldn't even notice him. What is it with this tiny little country in the Middle East, in a very strategic point, by the way, very, very strategic, by the Mediterranean, but also close to the center of the whole oil thing in Iran and the Persian Gulf and all? What is it that makes that country the receiver of, I think it's about $10 million per day from the US alone, pumping into this it's tiny. It is so, there's a reason why Jesus was walking from Nazareth to Bethlehem to Jerusalem, because it's so small. I've been there, I've walked there, it's hot like hell, but it's not big. What is it that makes the US, with apparently, I mean, there's so many homeless and so many, everything, you can't afford anything, health and all of that. No, fuck that. Let's pump the money into that country. Please just give me some kind of logic answer. Why is that okay?
The only thing I can think, the only thing I can think is that the Rothschilds had a helping hand in creating Israel and creating all that over there. I'm assuming, and maybe they're still relevant today. So are they the ones that Netanyahu and other Israeli elites actually answer to? Like, what's the pecking order here, Ole?
I think that most people see, okay, the US, number one. If you didn't know, it's number one, living the American dream. Yeah. So just one thing with an American dream, you have to be asleep to dream. So that's a good one for you. But other one, number one, number what? Number one asshole, number one terrorist against, yeah, in many ways. I mean, I have that from like Chip Tatum, who was the head assassin for George Bush Sr., who was part of taking out 14 people. He was the pilot for all the presidents from Nixon up to George Bush Sr. I mean, he's a hardcore veteran person who's really doing everything he can for veterans, you know, and so on. He says that the terrorist tool of the world is the US military. He says, not me, he says, And if you look at it, yeah, that and NATO, and now with the United Nations forces, that is what they want to push together into the New World Order army. These are the ones destroying and the destruction force of the world.
And then you
Like,
have, you know, let me see here. You got think tanks, you got the Tavistock Institute, the
yeah,
Rand
but these
Corporation,
are
and
these are I'm talking about the violent enforcer of the orders coming from other places. Like the Tavistock is there to mess up your mind and for,
yeah.
push your the Tavistock is heavily involved with the CDC, heavily involved with the whole COVID operation, heavily involved with the whole music scene. The Tavistock, look into that one because that's where a lot of the direction is going on, how to push your mind in a certain direction without you noticing it. I was talking about the military enforcer of the orders coming from
I only
behind.
brought that up because these think tanks condition us to go along with their agendas to be the marching arm for
Yeah,
Israel, and
yeah,
I
it's
guess
I mean, I've always really had a bleeding heart for soldiers and military personnel because, and also people in uniform in general, because most people, I believe, that signs up for the military or for as a police officer or SWAT team or whatever it is, believe that they're doing the right thing. They're standing up for democracy, freedom, liberty. We're going to be the hero with the white hat and go out and yeah, 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 yeah. She was coming down the mountain, the whole thing, and come and be seen as heroes. The real truth, I don't know if you went into real action and these type of things, you will see there's a whole different ball game going on because these soldiers are being used as brutal death tools, committing atrocities, horrors, mass murders in the name of somebody else's greed. It's not even their greed. They're just following orders. They're being forced to do it. They're being controlled, management by fear again. If you don't do it, I'll shoot you. But the people coming home are just wrecks. There's no, it's not by coincidence that the highest suicide rate is among former militaries because
that's
they have
true.
to live with
That's
their
true. Yeah.
actions. I did that. Yeah, I was given an order. Yeah, but it was my finger who pulled the trigger. I blew the head of that child. I have to live with it. I have to live with it.
May I cut you
And
off for
they
just for
say,
a second, Ole?
please
Well,
do.
you just said something that I'm huge for. I want to say it could have been you or maybe Mark Passio that mentioned it, both of y'all, whatever. But many years ago, I heard the term order followers. I don't mean just, I mean like in the conspiratorial research scheme of things, order followers. Because you have Nazi Germany, they we're just following orders. You know what I mean, or whatever. You keep hearing. I guess what I'm trying to get at to break it to sum it all up is if you're looking for the guilty, I think it was in V for Vendetta. If you're looking for the guilty, what's going on in the world today, in America, wherever, you only have to look into the mirror. Because most of us that have certain jobs, what do we do to get that paycheck?
Mm,
We follow orders. So we
mm,
are the guilty. Yes,
mm,
we have puppeteers and all. They're using us, of course, but we're the guilty because I was just following orders, Ole. I
mm,
gotta put a roof over my head. Times are hard, man. You know, but yet that same person that says I'm following orders, I used to be one of them. But I woke up the first year I signed my contract, but it's too late then. But anyways, like those same people that say I'm just following orders are the same people that's trying to tell you what the truth is, and MAGA movement and Trump this, Trump that, and they're trying to tell you about certain research that they come across and how and tell you how to wake up. And I'm like, dude, you're an order follower, man. Like, what are you doing? Like, yeah, you act like you're awake, but you're really just a fucking order follower. You're part of the problem. We all, in one way or another, especially the types of jobs that do follow orders, even on a small level of a medical facility or whatever, you're following orders to give the whatever, the shots or
mm.
whatever. We're all, most of us are a part of the problem. You just got to look into the mirror, man, and face up to the facts.
It's very, very hard to be free. it is very hard to fit in to the system with a free mind. And the thing is, it's quite easy if you have that mirror, that is not a pleasant place to be for many. Ask your heart, am I doing the right thing? Your heart knows. Your mind will come up with all kinds of excuses, all kinds of, yeah, just like you said, yeah, but my pension, I need to think about my kids, the mortgage. Okay, listen, life doesn't care at all about that. It cares, or if you look at the bigger picture, it is your words, your thoughts, your actions. That is what counts in the long run. That is what also you have to be responsible for and will stand responsible for what you've done, your words, your actions, your thoughts, your deeds. So the thing is, when it comes to work, for instance, I mean, you don't have to be a soldier to do horrendous stuff. The weapon developers, if you think of that, like, okay, so you managed to do this incredible some Stinger missile that can like follow all of these things and then blow the head of that terrorist. By the way, who labels the terrorist? That's an interesting one. So who is the terrorist? Because actually, if you go to, let's say, Afghanistan, where loads of terrorists are located, I tell you that. That's why we have these drone bombings to this very day. Who are they killing? I tell you, if you ask me, that it's the elite playing computer games, but with live targets. That's what it is. Thousands of drone strikes. It's blowing up people, because it gives a thrill to the elite. But anyway, like that. If you're the developer of that, if you're the plumber of installing things into a unit that will be used for something bad for humanity, you are also responsible. If you're the
that
electrician and you
that
notice,
plumber is
like,
even on the microcosm of it. See,
yeah,
it's all interconnected to make this fucked up reality, this world that we live in.
if you're the police standing there guarding the Bilderberg meeting, I don't care who you are. I know that you're doing your job. They say, you stand there and look scary and keep these horrible people away. They're screaming. What's going on with the you know the herd? They should be held back when they're guarding super criminals that are really doing everything to to destroy humanity. You have to wake up and say, like, what the hell is going on? This is not, I mean, I'm being contacted right, left, and center by people in uniform, people in the police force in different countries. And when I go on tour as well, there so many people are feeling awful. They're trapped in a situation. They're working in a situation like a nurse or a police officer or in other where they got them by the balls. They can't get out and they don't know who to trust. They can't. If I talk to my colleague, maybe he's going to give me up or like this. But I think many of the colleagues are thinking the same thing because the thing is, the whole system has been hijacked.
On
Hijacked.
every level, even with it, it's a struggle to survive. You know what I mean? Like I have an okay
Yeah.
job, but my wife, she gets paid even more than me. She's a psych nurse for 10 years. She was an LPN before that for 5 years. And she does really good. And she did everything. I think I did this on a discussion last week. She did everything according to societal norms, right? She has a total of like 7 years of school indoctrination. Um, but I love my wife to death. She's pretty open minded. She lets me do my thing. She doesn't judge me. That's she's my prize and gold. But she she did everything to a societal norm. She went to school, education. She first went down southeastern in Louisiana, Hammond, and became like 4-year degree in education. Then she's like, I always wanted to be a nurse. So then she went to technical school for like 2 years of become an LPN. So because she wanted to use that to get a little experience. Then she had to go to El Dorado, Arkansas, South Ark for 1 year fast blast course to become an RN. She did everything right in society norms, and and we are still struggling to survive. I'm not saying we're struggling more than others, but it's not easy. It's not easy, Ole. But yet other people that sit at home that don't do things according to society norms, they get money from the government, assistance. They're getting grocery buggies full of groceries, like, man, y'all are living freaking good. And y'all didn't do things according to society norms. So like you said earlier, everything's inverted, man. And oh, her parents did everything to society norms of how you're supposed to live your life and have a career and all this. Her dad was a 30-year police officer order follower, or 40-year police officer order follower. Her mom, he went to college also. Her mom went to college also for accounting or something like that. And the banking or lawyer or something like that. Did everything right according to how you're supposed to live your life, from start to finish. Man, they are struggling worse than a freaking crackhead on the streets. I'm not even gonna lie. Maybe not as bad as a crackhead on the streets, but they're broke as hell, Ole. It's
But this
sad.
is
It's
no,
sad,
but
man.
this is
They can't get any kind of assistance. They can't even get food stamps because he draws a pension. They can barely live on that shit, man.
so either that is built on somebody absolutely brain dead, the system is completely collapsed, or it's done by design. If it was only in the US, that would be one thing. I hear it from so many different countries, especially in the West. It's divide and conquer. They make it like that so to get the frustration building up and the racism building up and the whole, so that it's a powder keg. The more, like this that's going on, the better for them. And then they have an alleged mass shooting here and alleged mass shooting there, boof, 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 just there to get out the Muslims. I knew that, we should have like this. And it's built up for creating conflicts. It's not there to create harmony because, of course, both your wife and her parents should be living the best life. According to the rules that was said, this is you do to accomplish this, but instead you do all of that, and then they just pull the curtain or the rug underneath. And then in most countries, I mean, I'm a foreigner as well, so good luck calling me a racist. I mean, I've been a foreigner in all countries I lived my whole life, so and all of our friends are from different nationalities. So once again, please call me a racist, feel free. But anyway, when you look at how it's done in all of these countries in the Western world, by design, it's Agenda 21, open the borders, open the borders, open the borders, let people in from other countries. Then they get everything. Give them a new car, give them a new house, give them all of these benefits. But the same person that belongs to that nation, wherever that is sitting in his or her small little apartment, hardly having food on the table, looking out the window. What the hell? Look at them. Look at them. I'm paying my tax. I'm doing all of that. And they just coming here. They're getting everything. Yeah. So who's giving it to them? Is it their fault or is it somebody's doing it on purpose to get these emotions going? That's the one, if you ask me, because it's in that environment when it's like this, you can get away with all of these things. And then for your security, we need to have a more militarized police. I mean, look at the police. It's not that many years ago, like 63 or whatever. The police was driving around in black and white cars. Boo. Now it's like RoboCop invasion, like SWAT teams. Like, what the hell is going on? I'm just having vitamins in my backyard. I
Especially
just took a
DC
C
right now.
vitamin and suddenly it's like helicopter, all of that. Oh, I'm collecting rainwater. Let's go get the bastard. Can you see there's something very wrong going? Can you see also I'm being enlightened at the moment? I'm just gonna
And
pull the curtain.
you said, can you see how big it lighting right now with the sun? I guess sunlight. But uh, to kind of go along with what you were saying, see, I see what everything. I'm not mad at the ones that are like living at home off the. I'm mad because I do this research. I've been following people like you, do my own podcast. I'm pissed off at the elite motherfuckers. I just want to punch them in the face. I get that mad. the ones that, but then again, I interviewed Dean Henderson last week. Um, he said something basically kind of what you said in a roundabout way, that they keep us distracted. They keep the middle class, which most majority, to keep the middle class distracted on the lower class, to keep us preoccupied what's going on above them, the upper class, you know, the elite class. Mm-hmm. They keep the middle class fighting amongst the lower class to keep us distracted of what's above.
It's, if you noticed what I said before, divide and conquer, distraction, problem, reaction, solution. That's it. I mean, there's very few of these things going on at the same, but they need, the thing is, for them who wants to take over the world for whatever reason. I mean, come on. Anyway, but it's been going on for quite a long time. I mean, we're talking hundreds of years. And so they came together and said, okay, we want complete control. How are we going to do that? And so they found out through Freemasonry and other secret brotherhoods and stuff like that. It's hard. It's hard. We won't be able to get there openly. We have to go, under the radar. And also, if people understand what we're doing, we're screwed. So how can we do it? And even if we take over, we're going to have a lot of problems with resistance movements and people saying, fuck you, we're going to, this whole thing. How are we going to do it? Okay, here came the New World Order. Destroy everything. And I mean, destroy everything. Culture, gender, families, nations, you name it.
The medical industry. Everything.
Destroy it. And out of the ruins, this phoenix bird will come. The New World Order will come and boom, create a one world order. But it will be because of all of that chaos and destruction and fear and all of that, they will be welcomed as a savior. This is where we're getting close now. So I would very much say that please understand there's a lot of commotion going on. When the savior suddenly appears in whatever form that will be, if it's a weird-haired dude individual that's going to say, hey, yo, I'm the number one, or if it's somebody else, please be aware that this is the idea. This is the idea out of all of this chaos. And then that individual will say, hum, and suddenly the chaos will stop and we will say, my God, oh my God, he's finally here. We've been waiting. So, oh my God. Ah! That's the one, because the chaos stopped because they stopped messing with us. They just turned off the button. They turn off the 5G. They turn off the chemtrails. They turn off all of the that weird. And suddenly we're like, oh my God, I'm feeling so good. I'll tell you a story. Do you want to hear a story?
But yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, so many years ago, I was a bit fed up with my life, and so I took an old bicycle. I quit my job as a journalist, and I went on my own from Sweden through Europe, and I was heading towards South Africa. But instead, somewhere down the line, I took a wrong turn, and I ended up in Iran during the war instead, in the middle of the Iran-Iraq war. Fell in love with some people, helped to smuggle them out through former Russia, East Germany up to Sweden. But the reason I mention this, I've written a book called Shadow of Tears about that. But the reason I mention this is because that was coming into Iran was an incredible emotional shock for me, and understanding what was going on in that whole thing, because it was a country that I was very scared of. I knew nothing about Iran. I'd never met an Iranian before or anything like that. And then to see how the people that was under this incredible pressure after the revolution were normal people, just like me and you. And so I fell in love with some of them and helped them out. But anyway, so for several years, I was really studying Iran, trying to understand what happened. What happened? Because I thought it was some kind of medieval country. It was not at all. It was not at all. It was like a modern country, but stuck in or put into this prison. So the thing is, and I'm just saying, I'm telling you this because look at what's going on right now, and please be aware of possible risks involved. Okay, so history has this way of repeating itself. So once upon a time, there was a country called Persia, Iran, and the elite came in with the CIA, got rid of Mossadegh, the people elected politician, kicked him out, and put the so-called Shah on the throne, complete CIA puppet. Then everything went well for a while. The whole thing was with British Petroleum and the American interest, and so they really wanted Iran because of the oil and the strategic position and so on. But anyway, so in 74, I think it was, when the big oil embargo was, the Shah started becoming big-headed. He was the only one selling oils, and suddenly he made an absolute fortune building up, using the funds to build up one of the strongest armies in the world. And suddenly he started giving the finger to his former lords. And so they thought, well, this guy's out of control, so let's fuck him up. And so they started, the CIA and other forces from the West started empowering and funding a revolution in Iran. And the person that became the symbol for this whole thing was a priest, a very fanatic guy called Ruhollah Khomeini, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. I'm sure you remember him with a boom.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was first, the reason why he was handpicked, I don't even know if he knew that he was being used, but I know that afterwards that he was being funded by the exact interest that was there to get rid of the Shah. Okay, so Ruhollah Khomeini was first, I think he was like 16 years in Iraq, where he was, like pumping out propaganda against the Shah and so on. So he became this voice people were listening to in Iran. And then when the whole revolution started, it started in the mosques, because the mosques were sort of like underground, a network of more or less underground meetings, but that was the only place they could meet, so there was this thing. And it was also there that they shared the news from Khomeini and so on. So anyway, so in the end, the revolution started slowly with uprisings, but the army was so strong. I mean, we're talking the American police force, military. I mean, it's unarmed people up against tanks. So when the uprising started, it was slow to start with. But what happened was that some people got killed, and Iran, they have this tradition, like I think it's on the 15th day after the death of this person, family and friends gather. And then again on the 40th day, they gather again. So people gathered on the 15th day for the people who got killed, and more people got killed. Then they gathered on the 40th day of the first victims, more people got killed. Then on the 40th of the fifth, and then it just escalated like that. And people had enough, because the Shah had been using a secret police trained and educated by the CIA into all kinds of horrendous torture methods and horror. They were very, very brutal. They were called savak. Anyway, so the people had enough. They had been under such pressure for
We were
such a long
using him
time.
as a puppet to get oil, correct? Also,
completely,
Yeah.
completely. No, that was the Shah. The
Okay.
Shah was being used, but then he got big-headed, gave the finger to his former bosses,
Mhm.
and said, "Fuck you! I'm a big boy now, so you can just go screw yourself because I'm gonna do my stuff, my thing." And that's when the West, the CIA, and MI6 went in and said, "We need to take him out and replace him." So anyway, so the revolution started, and it kept escalating, because people had just, like I said, they were on the emotional, it was too much. And so everyone came out in the streets, including grandmothers, grandfathers, unarmed, but up against tanks and the whole shebang. At that point, Khomeini was transported to Paris, and then he led the whole thing from Paris. In the end, the Shah tried everything. I mean, they were coming with helicopters in and just with machine guns shooting into the crowd. They were going with tanks. They put a cinema. They pushed some 300 people into a cinema and lit it on fire. I mean, it was horrendous, horrendous. But in the end, the Shah just felt, it's just I can't do it. I can't do it. So he said, "Fuck this, I'm out." So he went out, and more or less at the same time, Khomeini came in. So here is a guy that was seen as the Messiah. Please look at the Messiahs coming on stage now. He was being hailed as this. They said they could see Khomeini's face in the moon. You know, he was like this angelic force that came to Iran, and people were in awe. My friends that I helped out, they were in awe. Everybody loved Khomeini, loved him. So when he arrived, he was hailed like this messiah. And for the first 6 months, people in Iran that had been so suppressed were dancing in the streets. All of the resistant groups came up to the surface. They started speaking openly. And so everybody was out in the open. All of that had been under the radar was suddenly up in the open. What they did not know was that dear old Mr. Ruhollah Khomeini had a different plan. So when he came to Iran, one of the first things he said was he called in the Savak, the secret police, and he said, "Okay, listen, guys, two options. You start working for me, or it's chop, chop, chop time." So most of them said, "I don't like chop, 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 so I will work for you." I mean, there you go, follow orders. So when the Iranian people thought that Savak was gone together with the Shah, they thought, we're free. They're not there anymore. They couldn't see them anymore. But this was the secret police. I mean, you don't know who the CIA is. You didn't know who Savak was, you know. So without them knowing it, the first 6 months, the Savak was still on full alert, mapping the whole future resistance. All of the people that came out started speaking openly and doing all of these things. All of it was in the open, being mapped. And then one night, after 6 months, overnight, mass arrests in the thousands, No warning, no nothing, just like this, where they arrested the person that they were suspected, but also family members, children, father, mothers, friends, and so on, because they wanted to get rid of all of them in one go. And then mass executions, and it just, so the Iranian people that thought that they had managed the impossible by standing up and getting rid of one of the most powerful armies in the world. I mean, how do you do that? But they managed, they got rid of that one. Instead, they came in from the fire into something they thought the paradise, but it turned so ugly. Please be aware of what's going on right now, where we're seeing this person, at least a lot of people seem to have holding this symbol up like this, who is now doing a lot of odd things, to say the least, on a global scale. And because also nowadays with the technology, now with chemtrails, also with the way that they can with HARP technology, and so where they can get, so you see visions in the sky, they chemtrail a lot so that you get the like almost like a plasma in the air, and then you can generate images of Jesus, of Buddha, of Muhammad, of whoever is needed in the sky. Not real, folks, not real, including UFOs or pyramids flying or whatever. We've seen many examples where they've tested it over the years. So now we are in a situation where it's coming to a crescendo, where this could very well be it, when suddenly the savior of the world is stepping forward. And it is for us to say, yay, or take a step back and say, hello, wait a second, before I'm buying into this one, let me just take a step back, check out some stuff, get a breather, hug a cat, and then look at it again. You know, because from fear, it's so easy to go into euphoria when the fear is no longer there. But please be aware that there is a chance that you could be manipulated and being pushed into a, a global scene where suddenly, yeah, in that case, I would say not good news at all.
You're just talking about the technology. This was from a couple of years ago. The Seattle Needle. Check this out. They're using holograms. It was New Year's Eve, 2021. Like, look at all that. Look how crazy this is. They're using technology and holograms to do this. And this is on the open surface. What do they have in the black world?
That's what I'm saying. It's like we have to be aware of that.
Look at that. Look at that right there. How remarkable is that, man?
Yeah. But it's also with all of these flying. Yeah, look at that. I mean, amazing.
But
so if it's suddenly Jesus is standing up there saying, listen, guys, follow me, I will part the sea, I would say, wait a second, let me just check. Is there any source from this coming? Let's just, what could be going on here? Because we're up against technology that we have never seen before. Just like with 9/11, when that happened, it was technology the world had never seen before. And since then, it's been used in different areas. But I mean, to dustify buildings like that, I mean, free fall, it's like that is beyond what we know, So,
well, Ole, we need to round things up for this time. And I do want to get you on in the near future because there's so many things I'd like to discuss. I have so many things open on my browser. But I guess go ahead and throw out your links and all that. And of course, everything will be in the description for everybody and also within the video also. But yeah, go ahead and throw your information, your video or your links, social media if you get on those, and the floor is yours, man.
Okay, so I'm shut down more or less everywhere, including Patreon. That's a one for you. With Patreon, Patreon, where we had finally built up some kind of financial stability. And then Patreon came in and said, you have to take away these interviews on my website, otherwise we will shut you down. Not from Patreon. They said on my website.
Wow.
That is bad news. So, well, anyway, my sweetheart said, do not cave in, because then they will start next time. They will force you to use different kind of underwear or whatever. So we did like this, and boom, we were shut down there as well. But anyway, so my website is lightonconspiracies.com, plural, or dammegard.com. There's more than 1,300 of my interviews, including the ones that I referred to before. Please, I urge you to watch them if you're interested. And also, I've got like about 5,000 articles that I haven't written, but that I vetted for them. As far as I know, as far as I've been able to find out, this is based on truth. Okay, so I also have so many podcasts and sofa talks and daylights, and I mean, it's just in the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So you can spend years there. But what I've tried to do is make it a platform that you can start from and then, go out like this. So anyway, I also want to say that I've got what I believe is if not the biggest research vault in the world based on this type of information. It's about 8 terabytes of my whole life work, because also what I've been doing for many, many years is as soon as something comes up, I download it, download, because if you haven't noticed, especially nowadays, a week later, it's gone. Everything that is not the official narrative, gone. And so real history, you cannot find it anymore. in so many different areas. So please help me preserve it for generations to come. Go to lightonconspiracies.com. Look at Ole's, that's my radio voice, by the way. My research vault there. And yeah. Also, I want to tell you that my sweetheart Kim and I have been dreaming about creating a sanctuary for light-minded friends, not like-minded, light-minded friends, small egos, massive big hearts under control, not to create a community, because we are not the people that are interested in sitting, having meetings and deciding who's going to carry out the garbage or whatever, but a neighborhood of like-minded. So instead of me coming to you, Michael, and it will take me like 48 hours flight and whatever to share a coffee with you, it's just walking distance. Okay, so, and now, after all of these years, we found a place here in Bali on a mountainside. We call it Selalu, which means always in Balinese. And so we have put down a down payment on this mountain side. The reason we've chosen a mountainside is because then nothing can be built in front of it, because here it's in constant, the whole world wants to come here, and poor Mother Bali is being raped. So, but what we want is sort of like that light-minded people can live near each other. Because what I've seen so many times is like if you have a fire circle or people that meet like that, it's in, you know, especially if we're talking on a high level internationally when it comes to this free mind thinking, incredible beauty can come out of it, and creativity and ideas and stuff. So we would like to bring that together. So in that area, there are many other plots available also. We're trying to map it out and find ways. We're building roads like holy shit. It is on steep mountainsides like this, you know, the excavator driver, we had to change him because the
Wow.
guy just freaked out. He thought, no, and we got another guy. But anyway, it's going to be an absolute stunning, stunning place once it's done. But please, if you're interested, go to lightonconspiracies.com, go to the Sofa Talks, and you can follow us. We do like we did during lockdown, we did about 200 episodes where we did like almost like a diary, a weekly diary, a daily diary in the beginning. And now we started a new journey, which is creating Selalu. So you can follow us every step of the way. And also, there will be possibilities if anyone is interested. Please, financial support. You know, because the money, we're doing this on faith because we don't have the money, and there's a lot of cost hidden also that we're not even aware of, but it will come along the way. But anyway, we are completely determined to make this a reality, and many people are contacting us looking for bug out plan, possibility to get somewhere. And here also it's so much cheaper to build, and the possibilities are much freer here than in other places. At the same time, it's a corrupt country. There's no guarantees for anything. It can change like this overnight. Who knows? But as far as we know, this is the best place in the world to do this. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. So if you're interested, please go to the Sofa Talks and follow them and join along. So that was about it. And
Man.
soon we will come with an introduction video about Selalu that we will send out. And you can see it. It's just, when Bali is beautiful, when you're away from all the traffic and that, it is stunning. Also the mentality among the locals, it's just the most kind, beautiful individuals that I've ever met. So, yeah.
Well, keep fighting the good fight, Ole. And man, I appreciate it. We'll keep in touch, and I'll get you on soon, man.
Thank you so much. And by the way, I'm not fighting at all. On the contrary, if you want to live in peace, you have to walk in peace. But I do stand up against forces that are fighting. But this is the whole how to turn it around, how to stand in peace, look in the mirror and try to purify that mirror the best ways possible. And there you go.
All right. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.